I'm noticing something in my life. I'm noticing something. I'm figuring it out. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. So when Holy Spirit gets through to me in revealing something, that's pretty impressive. I'm like, blah. Anyways, I wanted to say this because I'm realizing what happens when we take the grace of God for granted. Let me just preface it by saying this. You know, when God asks you to do something, and it's a personal obedience between you and him, and he asks you to do this thing, and for a while you're obedient in it, and then all of a sudden, you know, one day you mess up, and I'm so sorry, God, I'm so sorry. Okay, you get back on track, and you go along your way, and you mess up again, and you're so sorry, but this time you're not as sorry as you were the first time, maybe. You know what I'm saying? And this pattern kind of repeats. Well, you get to a point when you mess up with that personal obedience between you and God, where you are consciously not being as diligent in it as you should be. I don't want to even say mess up, because it's like you don't take it as seriously as you probably should, or as he's intended it to be. Well, he starts revealing to you how important it is and how you need to be diligent in this area, and you're trying to get back on focus now. You're trying to get back on point with this, right? But that holy ease that was there in the beginning when he first told you to do it, and you were first doing it, and you had that zeal to do it, that holy ease is gone. And it feels like it's such a struggle to get back to where you were. It does feel like when we take the grace of God for granted, he removes it for a season to make you realize how important it is for us to be obedient, for us to never take the grace of God for granted, and for us to realize with the power of the Holy Spirit, all things are possible. We can do it. We got to get our mind right and our heart right before God, and not take the grace of God for granted, because when he removes it for a season to teach us what we need to learn in that moment, that is difficult. That's difficult. God, help me not to take your grace for granted. Help me not to take your grace for granted. When you give me a holy ease in a situation to do a certain task that you've asked me to do, help me not take that for granted. Because without it, that task is impossible to do. And I believe that's why first, he gives it so that we can do it. And second of all, sometimes when we're not obedient in it, he removes it so we understand and realize how difficult it is to do something without his presence on it, and not take him for granted. Hope that made sense. It makes sense in my head.